What's going on, guys? I know you guys wanted me to do a chart analysis on BCH, so that's where I'm at right now. So basically, I actually just put a trade in here earlier this morning around 470, 410, or 475 here, as we were starting to buy back up here, and we were catching a lot of support. I've been watching Bitcoin as well here, so you can kind of see what I have going on here. If we take a look at the the daily, if we look at the daily here, we can see what we have done. Sort of the same thing as Bitcoin. Let me look at the weekly. It might be better off to see. So back in 2017, when we had this crazy run-up, when we broke this blue line here, we blasted up here. We had a little bit of resistance above here, roughly around 930, and we had more resistance here at 633. But once we cleared this blue line and found support here, that was absolutely massive. So when we broke it, we came down and dipped underneath, and we trended under for quite some time. And then recently here, we started getting the weekly moving averages all crossing here. So, I mean, to the downside bearish look here, we've had a lot of red weekly candles here, right? And you could almost think that this could look like a bear flag and it's going lower, right? So that's something to consider here, as well as the potential of this MACD cross. And this is all on the weekly, so it takes some time to play out. And this weekly RSI rolling over here. So, you know, there's definitely some potential bearish warning signs here on the weekly time frame, as there is with Bitcoin here. So, you know, it looks like we double topped with bearish divergence here. So, you know, if we take a look at the daily here, we can see a little bit of a different view potentially, right? This kind of looked like a left shoulder, this looked like a head, and this looked like it could be making a right shoulder here. And then also kind of looked like a bear flag, so to speak, right? So that's something to consider and keep in mind always when trading this. But we did actually get a daily bounce here, and we created bullish divergence here on the daily. And, you know, what I'm seeing here is we're just starting to get some buying back here. We had a lot of touches here. And think of this. This whole time, since we've been right here, we've been holding support on this blue line here. So to me, that is still a very bullish sign, even with the little bit of a bearish outlook there on the weekly and stuff. So, you know, we have to keep that in mind here, that, you know, if we were to break this level of, you know, 430 and start closing some daily candles, then we're going to want to start thinking differently here. But for now, it's starting to look decently bullish here. There's still obviously warning signs. We're below the daily 20 EMA here, which is around 522. We have this upper resistance here around 512 to 514. But we did just get a daily RSI bounce here. And looking at the MACD here, it's, you know, it's starting to roll a little bit, but, you know, it's still too soon to really say for sure. If we look at the Ichimoku cloud, we're going to have a lot of resistance here up at 572, and depending on, you know, if we hit this, if we can even get up this high and hit this daily, it's 542, and then we have some pretty good resistance right here at like 520-ish. So I'd really like to see us start getting some support, obviously above this trend line and also above some of these EMAs here first. But like I said, I did put a position right when it got above this 200 EMA on the daily here, which was right around 475-ish. So I put a position in there, and, you know, I mean, let's see where the, well, I guess I must have front ran it a little bit, but things were looking bullish here. So obviously the 200 EMA, there's 478 there, but I happened to put one in around the 475. So we're going to hit some resistance here, which it looks like we might be. It's hard to say if we're over that right now or not by this. So I'll have to look at the smaller time frames here. But we're going to hit some resistance right here around this 495 to 500. Unless we're above that right now, that would obviously be a good sign here. Did we get any daily? No, we didn't get any daily green TD9 flashes, which is very possible that we could if we continue on this bullish trajectory here. But it would be 1, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it would be 3 more days
So, I mean, if we did come back down here, if we bounced off of this 200 EMA, that would be very, very bullish, short term anyway. But, of course, we really need to break up here. If we were to come up here today, it would be around 522. Tomorrow, it would be around 515. And Sunday, it would be around 508 to 510, would be like the resistance line anyway, right? So if we look at the 4 hour here, we can see that we've been running here quite a bit. And right now we have an 8 flash here, and the next candle is going to be a red TD9 flash. So it's very possible that during that flash, we might run up here to this 514, 515 and potentially sell off here. And if we do, we might have to look for some support below. And like I said, it might be that 478 to 480 level potentially here. And if we break through that 200 EMA, if we don't just ignore this red TD9 flash, which most of the time we wouldn't. And, looking at the 4 hour where we are right now, we're higher on the right here than the left. So we do have bearish divergence right here, hidden bearish divergence. We're higher up on the left, lower on the right, and on the RSI showing opposite. So I am expecting a sell-off here. If we did come all the way back down, we could come back down here at 458. We could come as low as 446 here. But like I said, we do have that 200 EMA that I'd really like to see on the daily hold. So, it's tough to say exactly what's going to go down here, but I'll be keeping my eye on it here. Let's look at the 2 hour here. You can see on the 2 hour, we have the same thing. We have hidden bearish divergence going right now, and we really are just like butting our heads here against this Ichimoku cloud resistance. Now, of course, the next candle opening up, we're going to, if we can hold this line here, we would have some decent support below, but we just have to keep in mind that we have that red TD9 flash coming in here. And anytime that we've had red TD9 flashes here, this is on the 2 hour even, so let's see on the 4 hour, which we're going to get one on the 2 hour as well very shortly. So if we look for red TD9 flashes here, see if we can find any. And we don't have to get one, of course, because, you can get a 1 with the reset, but depending on what happens, if it ends up being a spinning top or not, obviously that could also insinuate some downside. So we'll have to see if we do get it, a 9 flash or not, because there's been times where we get a 9 flash and then we continue up and then we have our correction. So it could be a fake out potentially, but that's something I'm looking for. So really, realistically here, I'm really looking for us to get above this 100 EMA here, maybe find some support. I'm sure if we do get a nice break out of here and we find some support on this trend line here and we start trending on, even if we, keep back testing it, bashing our heads against it, that would be fine as long as we can find support up here, because obviously you can tell looking throughout this whole trend that we've kind of been in here for a while, this is the upper sloping resistance that we've been testing. So we're really getting to a decision point here on which direction it needs to go and which direction it's going to go here. So, just like Bitcoin's kind of in the same predicament here, but, we're starting to get really squeezed here, and there isn't too much time left here. So that being said, it could go, it could go either way. We just have to figure out here what's going to happen. Is this thing going to break up at the last minute, which usually is more scary? Are we going to come out of here with some force, maybe get rejected up in this area, run back down to back test it and then go? Or are we going to just kind of get rejected here and just flop over, maybe catch support, maybe bounce, or come down, fake everyone out, and then run? There's so many different things that could happen, which is normally why you don't trade in this area here until you get some type of confirmation here. And even once we break this here, we're still going to have this support area here that we're going to butt our head against here. So we'll have to see how that plays out as well. And that area there is around 600, and that's going to be pretty huge. And you can see what happens when we break this resistance here. We come up with a lot of force, but we haven't been able to hold it. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But if we do come up and we come down and back test and we happen to hold that area, that will be like insane, but it's really hard to decide if that's what's going to be going on here or not. You kind of have to expect that it won't, of course. You don't want to get super bullish and say, hey, it's holding 600, and then the thing could just completely dump and annihilate everyone here. So, we kind of have to start expecting that this is going to be a strong area. If it breaks it, we're going to come up with some pretty good support. We could double top up here, or we could make a very nice W here over the course of the next few weeks potentially. And whether we back test this, whether we trade sideways here. I mean, there's a couple different things that could happen. We could trade sideways here, and this whole resistance area could be nothing until we actually break something else here. I'm not too sure because I'm seeing like two patterns here, but with crypto, it definitely seems like when resistances are broken, they like to really, really take off. They don't normally just trend sideways like what can happen a lot in the stock market. They blast off. So, I mean, they could blast up here. I'm not even, and that's just talking about things from that point of view. I'm not even saying like, holy crap, we need to go buy this thing right now, because it's not technically it's not the safest time right now. Although, things look pretty bullish and stuff in crypto. It's actually, we're dealing with a lot of things here. Bitcoin right now is still below its daily EMA here, daily 20 EMA. And, we have some potential negative signs here going on. And you can see holy freaking spaghetti lines, right, on Bitcoin. I've been running this thing for a long time. I have many, many plays on here. But I actually bought some Bitcoin right around, I had a support box here, which I don't know where it went. But, around 51,337 was my area of support that I was looking at here. So that was an area I put a trade in somewhere up in this range here. It might have been right around here or so. But needless to say, I'm watching this. It's getting some resistance here on this 3 hour 100 EMA here. It wicked up to this 50 EMA on the 3 hour here. It has a nice big falling wedge here. But on top of that, in the bearish point of view, it's in a gigantic rising wedge in a rising channel, and it has a lot of negative things to it as well. So, and I'm seeing some technically some hidden bearish divergence right now as well on BTC. But I'm curious to see if we'll be able to hold this trend line here again, because we kind of just bought ourselves back into this previous rising channel that we faked out and came below. So we could come back down again and double bottom on this 51.5. We could completely just tank it and come back down to this lower trend line, then get a bounce. We're not too sure right now what's going on with it, but it's just scary times right now with the US dollar and stuff like that. Like the US dollar is looking extremely bullish here, and although I had I had a target up here of 92.9, and we hit that thing to a goddamn T. And then I had a red TD9 flash popping in here, and I saw we were in a rising wedge. I expected it to fall from support here and break down, and that's exactly what we're doing here, but we're not breaking down very fast. It's most likely going to come back down here and test this 92.5 here and see if it's going to be able to hold here. So, with that being said, if it does hold that's going to be very bullish for the dollar here. And then the next resistance really is going to be getting back into its old pattern here, which is up here in the 93.3, which is going to take some time. But that could be very, very bad for Bitcoin here if in fact it can manage to do so. Take a look here if you want to see where I'm talking about this 93. This was a very bullish pattern here we were setting up in, and we had a very bad break from it here. And it's starting to get some life, and it's trying to get above its 100 daily EMA here, and I think it might have actually so far done so. It did. So that's what it's probably going to come back down and back test around 92.5, 92.6 potentially. So I mean, the bullish case for the dollar here is that it looks very bullish. And that's a bearish thing for Bitcoin, because back when this was at its peak here, when it hit its resistance, was in March 19th, 2020, right when the stock market wasn't doing well as also. So, this all coincides with each other between the NASDAQ, between Dow Jones, which is killing it right now. I mean, it finally hit my target I've been waiting for here. So I've been waiting for 33K. I've been waiting for that, even though I did see some bearish signs previously. I did have a target up here at 33K, and we're finally hitting that. So, it's just, I'm curious to see what exactly is going to go down with this. I mean, obviously that looks very, very bullish. It's starting to catch support. It's back testing, finding support, maintaining support, and holding this area here, which could be extremely good for the Dow Jones. But, it all resorts back to the US dollar. And that's where people, if people are putting their money in the US dollar, then they're taking it out of everything else here. And Bitcoin's one of those things. So curious to see how this is going to play out here. Because we all know what happened when, well, that was in 2000. But was this 2000? This was March, this was March 20th, 2019. Right when the US dollar hit its peak. This was where Bitcoin was at $3,800. And when the US dollar dropped, this is when we spiked and we ran up as the US dollar completely plummeted. Okay, so, that's just something to keep in mind here. It was right here, March 20th, 2020. But even still, look at this. March 20th, 2020 was right here. Boom. And guess what happened? The dollar went down and Bitcoin ran. And guess what's happening now? We ran all the way up here. And now we're starting to see some red. And guess what's going on with the US dollar? It's starting to get very, very bullish here. So we could have one more potential drop here, or this could all turn into a head and shoulders pattern here. We could have one more potential spike here. And this big rising channel that I have drawn, if we actually got rid of a lot of these lines here, this here is a very big rising channel. So it's scary times right now for the crypto market and for Bitcoin and the stocks, because it could be a repeat, or the US dollar could completely roll over, shit itself, and then we could continue up here on this run with the stock market and with crypto here. So, we'll have to see what happens, but I just wanted to put this video out there mainly for BCH, but I'm just trying to keep our eyes on this thing and see what happens. But I am positioning myself here just for the just in case here, and I'll get stopped out if it does fall below the support here. And if it does, then obviously this thing could come down pretty low. And if it breaks out, it could have a pretty damn good run here, because this is that same area that we're bouncing off of right now. That last time in 2017 there, and 2017 here was when we hit that. And I'm squiggling all over the place. This new freaking update on the charts, I hate it. And that was what happened last time. So we're starting to catch support here on this trend line, and that's very bullish if we can maintain it. So anyway, guys, keep that in mind. Bullish and bearish cases here. And with that, I'll let you guys go. Peace.